welcome all you guys to ARC's CGA, Criminals and Gang Members Anonymous. We're doing step 5 today. Last time we seen you guys, we were on video, and we did step 4, which is really, really challenging. I know it can be difficult. I know when I did a step 4, it was very, very intimidating to me, but it made a world of difference because it allowed me to see the characteristics that I was working with while dealing with other people. So it's a step that I believe has to be done for true change to come about. So with that, like every other time we see you guys, we want to start off with check-ins, and you know I got my boy with me, taking me everywhere I go. Big C's, what's going on, man?
How you doing, Jacob? So today, man, I'm, like the people out there that know me, I always check in at an 8, right? And I check in at an 8 just to leave a little bit of improvement for the end of the day, man. Something I could have done better, correct? I'm good. My family's good. Everyone's good out here. Blessed to continue doing these videos with you. Really appreciate it. I'm hoping that the last 4 videos that we've done have been very beneficial to the fellas in there and the men and women that are going to be seeing this video. And this is it, man. This is what it's about right here, right now, because of this pandemic, right? Working from home and making sure that our guys and our women in there are not forgotten, right? That they're not forgotten, and that we're still here. We're still here for them, and we'll do whatever we can to help them out through these hard times, bro.
Well, thank you for that, C's. And let me check in. I check in as a 10, and I tell you guys in every video that I do that by choice. Today, I'm doing it by choice, but I really am a 10. It was a great day today. I woke up feeling good, kind of gray skies, a little bit of rain. I like that type of weather. So that made me feel even better. I had some conversations with some good folks, some good people who gave me a lot of encouragement and built me up. And I'm really, really ready to tackle the day, man. Talked to one of my good friends at one of the institutions, and he was telling me about how they were doing social distancing and how they were running the program inside, and that they were still running canteen and packages, and is not as flowing as well as he thought it should. But like I told him, at least it's coming. But overall, it's been a beautiful day, man. It's a beautiful life, and I'm ready to get into step 5, man. So let me read the step real quick, so we'll have an understanding of exactly what we're talking about, and from there, it is what it is. We'll figure it out, right? So CGA step 5. We sought forgiveness from God, ourselves, and admitted to someone we trusted the wrongs we have done. So seeking forgiveness, right? And I want to read this real quick. I know you guys can't see it, but I want to read it real quick, and then I'll shoot it over to C's, and he can start off telling you what step 5 means to him. So, but I do want to read seeking forgiveness. This is a step we need to start as soon as we complete our step 4 inventory. Nothing is more important at this point than to find the ability to pray privately, admit our wrongs, and accept responsibility without excuse or blame. Seeking forgiveness comes with understanding that we have a need to be reconciled and healed through a changing of our heart, which will become filled with love and compassion. We establish our personal spiritual relationship with a higher power, admitting that we are not perfect, and we open up to allow our wounds to be healed. This is when we are able to see that no matter the severity of our wrongs, we are worthy of forgiveness and have the ability to remove the pain and resentments from our heart. We become kind and compassionate towards one another and capable of forgiving others as we have sought forgiveness. This is the start of our redemption. So, step 5 is about, obviously, forgiveness, mostly forgiving yourself. C's, tell us about your step 5. Tell us how you relate to step 5.
Okay, Jacob, thank you. So for me, step 5 was big. It was an opportunity for me to get that 10,000-pound monkey off my back, right? And share it with
Yes.
somebody else.
Pounds.
Yeah, because I had a lot of baggage, bro. I had a lot of baggage. I had a lot of own up to. I had a lot of take a lot of responsibility. So for me to unload that on somebody, it was big. Now I get it. I understand that in the environment that this recording is going out to, it's difficult, right? It's difficult to find someone that you can trust and you could unload this list on, right? So that's why it tells us we sought forgiveness from God ourselves and admitted to someone we trusted the wrongs have we done, right? So first and foremost, if you've established a spiritual foundation, that means you have trust in God, right? And if you're in an environment that you feel is not trustworthy, or you can't find someone that's trustworthy that you can share this list with, right? It's an opportunity to have that conversation with your higher power, whoever that may be, correct? Get into you know, when you pray or when you meditate, unload that baggage into someone higher than yourself, and that won't judge you, that won't criticize you, and that won't put you down for the stuff that you've written down on these lists. This is why step 4 and 5 are crucial, are very crucial, because this is where the healing begins, right? When you're able to start forgiving yourself, because now it's no longer on your back. Now you've unloaded that with someone, right? Whether it's your higher power or it's your sponsor, whoever that may be, someone that has walked the walk, right? Or like they say in CGA, someone that has trudged the path of recovery out of insanity before us, correct? And this is an opportunity for you to seek that forgiveness. But I want to mention something that's really important, I want to mention it because a lot of people seem to forget that in order for us to ask for forgiveness, we have to forgive ourselves first.
For sure.
It starts with us. When we gave ourselves permission to put ourselves in the position that landed us in prison, we became the first victim. Before we victimized somebody else, we became the first victim because we put ourselves in a situation that, for a lot of us, it landed us decades in prison, right? So now, because we became the first victims, and now you made this list, and now you've seen how much of a monster you were when you were out here living in this community, it's difficult. It's difficult to forgive yourself. And I'm gonna speak for myself. That was difficult for me to really seek forgiveness from my family for what I put them through, right? My actions, my choices, what I did, the danger, everything. Like, that was really hard for me to forgive myself for. And I kept beating myself up. But I know that by doing that, it wasn't making me any better. You know, I was just falling into self-pity. That's all I was doing, right?
See, he's zoned out on us. You still ain't came back, bro. What's going on?
How about now? How about now?
There you go.
So what I was saying was, you know, when I was able to forgive myself for all the stuff that I did, for all the pain and suffering that I caused everyone, from my community to my family to my loved ones to everyone, when I was able to forgive myself for that and be okay with it and talk about it, right? That's the step right there. Talking about this stuff and being okay with it. Not talking about it and then falling into some kind of depression saying, man, I was a monster. How can I have done this? What was wrong with me? What was going through my head? What was I thinking? Right? Instead of falling into that, just saying, you know what? I can't change what happened. I can't do that. All I can change is the future, right? All I can change is me. All I can change is what I'm doing today, right? And if I continue being of service and giving back and helping others and doing whatever I can, when I get those accolades back from my family, you know, from my mother telling me she's proud of me for the work that I'm doing today, and man, that says it all right there, because there's no amount of money in the world that I can give her to repay her for what she did for me. You know, she did this life sentence with me. Like, she literally did this. She was right next to me She could have spent, you know, her retirement money traveling the world, right? She could have done like, you know, this is the time for her to be traveling the world and spending her well-earned money because she's been working her whole life. But instead, she chose to give that up, to give it up for me, right? I remember uh, I had written her a remorse letter, and I was apologizing for everything that I put her through. And she answered, she replied, and she said, "You know what? I told you that no matter what, I was always going to stand by you. I was always going to be there for you, you know." And I appreciate that. To this day, I'll never forget it. You know, there's nothing that I wouldn't do for her, right? There's nothing that I wouldn't do for her. And it took step 4 and 5 to embrace it and to do the work for me to become who I am today. So this is what step 5 means to me, bro.
Oh man, for me, step 5 is it's about trust, man. So I grew up as a gang member. I was a criminal way before I was a gang member. I was committing criminal acts. I was doing robberies and things like that way before I became a gang member. Then I became a gang member and I followed the rules. I did what gang members was supposed to do, which was cause havoc. I shot at people. I robbed stores. I did anything I wanted to do whenever I wanted to do. But in the process of living that lifestyle, I lost my trust and faith in people. I didn't trust anyone. I didn't have any faith in anyone. I felt like if I didn't do it, it wasn't going to get done. And step 5 was an opportunity for me to regain my trust in people, because I had to find someone to admit all this bull crap that I had been doing. I had to find someone to confess that to, and I had to have faith that that person was not going to run around and put all my business out in the street and tell people just how terrible of a person I was, or was going to downgrade me, or make me feel bad about it, or just to put that judgment on me. So this step for me was all about, like I say, finding trust in people and having faith in people, because this was a very difficult step for me. I've done some stuff that I'm really not proud of, and I'm an open book. It's not like I run from it or hide it, but I'm not proud of it. And it's not something I just go around speaking, meet somebody on the train like, hey, let me tell you when I robbed these dudes and beat them up with the pistol. And, that's not something that I'm out there bragging about and I'm proud about. So for me, this step is all about faith and trust, and cleaning out the garbage that I had inside, and forgiving myself for some of the decisions that I made that led to behaviors that hurt other people. So this is an important step. And like I read earlier, I truly believe this needs to be done right after step 4, because you get all this negative stuff about yourself in step 4, and we don't want to walk around with that stuff. We might explode. We may do something stupid. So we want to get it and pass it along. We want to process it and get it out of our system, give it, to our sponsor or somebody that we really trust and depend on and have faith in, so we can forgive ourselves and start moving on as new people.
Yeah, Jacob, one of the things about this step right here is the fact that it's like when you come clean with someone, right? Let's say, I'm going to use an example in prison, right? Let's say you and your cellie, right? For whatever reason, the COs hit your house. And it's your fault, because whatever you were doing, you were running around the tier, you were supposed to lock it up, right? Your cellie's at work, he has no idea what's going on, and he comes home, and he's like, man, what happened? And then you're just like, I don't know, the cops hit the house. I went out to shower, I came back, and the cops hit the house, right? And you're holding back the truth. You're holding back the fact that the CO told you to lock it up, but you're running around passing stuff for people, being on people's doors, and he hit your house, right? So this step is very similar to that. Now you're able to come clean. Now you're able to sit there and say, you know what, man, I apologize, bro. It was my fault. You know what? I came out for a shower. such and such called me to his house to pass something for him. I went and did it. The CO told me not to do it. That's not an excuse. That's not a justification. I should have just went out there and did what I had to do, which is go out there and get my shower and come back in because we're on modified program, right? But instead, I refused to listen to the direct order that this correctional officer was giving me, and I got the house hit. And now half of the stuff that we've accumulated here is gone, and it's my fault, right? If you have a cellie that's understanding and says, you know what, man, thank you for your honesty, right? Thank you for your honesty, man, and it is what it is. We're good, right? But if I lie to you, because later on, if you lie to me, Jacob, I'm going to come out later and I'm going to be, hey, man, what happened to my house? Oh, man, your cellie was running around and they told him to lock it up, and he didn't want to lock it up because, you know, he's running around doing errands and stuff, and then they hit your house. Like, oh, man, this fool lied to me. You know, he straight lied to me. So now I don't trust you. Now I'm holding some resentments towards you now because of you. I got half of my CDs taken away because I had more than 10, right? Some of my cassettes taken away. Some of my 1990 cassettes taken away. You know what I mean?
Man, you probably still had 8 tracks.
But this is for our viewers, right, that don't understand what this, like, how to work this step. That's a perfect example, I believe, of coming clean, man, of coming clean and being completely honest. And like I said, finding someone. And if you can't find someone, your higher power, bro, your higher power, you can never go wrong with that. You sit there and, you know, if you're a person that meditates, you're a person that prays, you're able to unload that baggage. And something crucial that you said earlier about, as soon as this list is done, then you pass it on. And the reason that's, to me, right, the reason that's important is because if we hold on to that list and then we keep seeing it and then we read it over and over, and then we start having doubts like, man, you know, I don't deserve a change. I don't deserve forgiveness. You know, I don't deserve nothing because look at all the stuff that I did. Like, look at the type of person that I was. Look how much danger I brought to my family. Like, I don't deserve this. And you self-sabotage yourself. And you fall right back into the destructive person that you were in the past. And that's why I believe it's important for you, once you make that list, that you pass it on. And you get that. You take that off your back and you give it to somebody else. And I think one of the difficult parts, because I remember all the time, I say this all the time in every video, for the criminal and the gang member, you know, you always want to look good, feel good, be in control, and always be right. By me doing that and unloading that on somebody, it's not gonna make me look good. It's not gonna definitely make me feel good, you know, and I'm not gonna be in control.
You ain't gonna be right either.
And I'm not gonna be right, bro. So that's the difficult part. That's the struggle. That's the tug of war with the criminal and the gang member. But for someone that really wants, someone that's really seeking change, it's gonna embrace that and says, you know what, man, like I said earlier, can't change the past. I can only change the future, you know, and I can only become better, right? And learn from my mistakes, learn from what happened when I was a youth and even throughout my incarceration to where I am today. And that's why I believe that this step is so important, man. So important, you know.
And you know, and you know something, sees one of this, my experience with step 5, the reason why I think that right after you do a step 4, you need to find someone and share that information with them so you can get off your chest, is because I realized that the stuff that was on my step 4 inventory was the stuff that was contributing to the decisions that I was making that was sabotaging myself. This was the inventory. This is what I had inside when I was making all these decisions that wasn't in my best interest. So I don't want to hold on to this no more. I want to make decisions in my best interest. I want to make decisions that's going to help me create a future that I want to live into. In order to do that, I got to get rid of this bad stuff. And I have to take it for what it is. You know what? I wasn't the greatest person, you know, but I have the opportunity and the power to change. And I'm working on that. I'm doing that. I'm always working on me as a whole. So I kind of wonder, you know, because for me, like I said, this step was about trust. First, it's about forgiveness. But for me, it was about trust first because I didn't trust anybody. So in order for me to get this weight off of my shoulders, I had to form this trust. And in search of learning how to trust people, I found that there's 3 different types of trust. You have a naive trust. It's a trust like a baby. A baby trusts you just because you are who you are. You're his parent. So if you pick up a baby and you throw him in the air, the baby laughs because it never crosses his mind that he may fall. It never crosses his mind that you're going to drop him. He has complete trust in you. And on the flip side, if you drop him, then he's going to have no trust for you. It's going to be absolutely no trust. So when you pick him up and put him up in the air, he's going to start crying because he doesn't trust you no more. And I call that a naive trust. Then they have what's called a blind trust. A blind trust is you really self-deceiving yourself. You are deceiving yourself when you use blind trust. And a form of blind trust is, Caesar, we've been doing business for the last year, and every time we do business, Caesar has came through. He's owed me $100, he owed me $200, he owed me $300, and every time he's paid me. So you know what? He needs something right now. I'm going to give it to him because he's good, because in the past, he came through for me. That is self-deception. Just because someone does something in the past doesn't mean they're going to do it in the future. And that's something that should be clear to us because like me, I committed a murder in the past. I'm not going to do that in the future, right? So if I'm relying on trusting someone from the past and I see that they committed a murder, I will never trust them again. And that's a lot of the things that we're going through with the board and people in the community. Once we committed this horrible act, and they don't want to trust us again because they're working with blind trust. So they're saying, you know what? I don't care if that was 60 years ago. That's who you are. And I'm not going to let you back out so you can do this again. And they don't have the trust and the faith to believe that I'm a different person with different outcomes and that I can be productive. In fact, I will be productive if you let me back out into the community. The last part of trust, the last trust that I found was called, what I call authentic trust. And authentic trust is hard to describe, but I can describe it to you guys because in prison, I think that's where the example of authentic trust is best exhibited. And it's like Caesar and I, he's Hispanic, he's my brother, but he's an SA and I'm a brother. And we might be the best of friends. We might be behind the wall in work exchange, playing dominoes, laughing, joking, having a good time. And then we walk out, we go through work exchange and get on the yard, and the blacks and the Hispanics are having some issues. I walk around the track, and no one's on the track but Caesar. And I look at him, and in that moment, I may not trust him. But then I might go in the wing, and I'm in my cell, whatever happens, happened, and they resolved everything. They say everything is cool. We go back to work exchange. Me and Caesar, we're good again, right? And that's an authentic trust. Authentic trust is trust that is in the moment. Your body will tell you when to trust somebody. And a lot of you guys know this from walking on these yards. You walk past, and it doesn't just have to be a black and Hispanic thing. It could be a black and a Hispanic and Hispanic, or white on white, Asian. It could be anybody. You walk past them and you get the feeling, I need to watch this dude. I can't trust him. Your body is telling you that, right? Your instincts are telling you that. That's an authentic trust. And I encourage everyone to get in tune with themselves so they can start using authentic trust, so they can know that trust is in the moment. It's not based on the past. It's not based on the future. It's based on the here and now. So if you're in tune with yourself, your body will tell you when to trust someone.
Jacob, right now when you mentioned the board, it triggers something from the past when I was in Soledad State Prison, that I was having a conversation with my peers. And they brought up how sometimes it's difficult for the board to trust the gang member and the criminal, right? And I'm gonna break it down to you like this. He says, if a regular person that came to prison for drunk driving and killed somebody, right, and he's taking AA, and he's the same person from day one to the 25 years later till he goes to board. And the board's able to see, okay, well, he's taking an A, he's in recovery. We're going to give him a shot at, we're going to release him. We're going to give him a date or whatever. It's easy for the board to do that, right? But when the gang member or the criminal walks into the boardroom, before you walk in there and they see your C file, they see he's a gang member. So I already know how I'm going to picture this guy. He's going to be bald. He's going to have tattoos. He's going to have an attitude. He's going to have a boatload of 115s. And he's going to, I already know. I'm already prejudging this dude that I am going to deny him because he killed somebody and he was a gang member and this and this and this. And then the gang member or the ex-gang member walks in and he's a totally different person. Now the board is like, well, this guy doesn't add up with the guy on the C file. So now I'm confused. Now I'm like, man, well, can I trust this guy to sign these papers to release him? Because the guy that's in the C file is not the guy that's in front of me right now. The guy that's in front of me is educated, right? He probably grew out his hair, combs it to the side now, right? He's presentable, he's respectful, he's courteous, he's a total different person. So now it's difficult for me to make that decision, and thank God today, in this day and age, the board members are going with their instincts. And this is why so many guys that have cases like yours and I's are coming home. Because
hey Steve, I don't want to interrupt you, bro, but I don't think you're gonna be combing no hair to the side, bro. You can get that one up.
I could grow it out. I can grow it out. I can grow it out.
Yeah, just around the ears, right?
But you see what I'm saying? Like it's like now in this day and age, they're saying, okay, these guys are doing the work, because this is one of the most crucial groups that you will want to have in your C file as your armor, right? To show the parole board hearings that you've addressed your gang and your criminal issues, that you've addressed them, right? That you figure out, what, this is what step 4, when I made my list, I was able to see the kind of person that I was, and I was able to transfer, like it says here, I'm going to read it from the CGA, but it says, this step is the guide to true transformation of character by learning what our problems are so we can now understand and start specifically correcting our behavior. Remember, you and I had a conversation before, and we talked about this, and I love how you broke it down to me, how the punishment is not going to prison. That's not the punishment, right? The punishment is getting separated from your family, right? Getting separate, that's the punishment. You're put in prison for what?
Rehabilitation.
Which is to correct the behavior. What got me here? What got me to prison? So if I don't do this list and I continue being who I am, then there's nothing for me to correct. And I'm going to continue being a gang member. I'm going to continue being a criminal, and so be it.
And you're going to continue being in prison.
Exactly. But now I have a guide, right? The CGA guide that's going to help me figure out what those issues are. So instead of having character defects, I could have character traits. So when I speak about my transformation, I could sit there and say, man, I owe everything to CGA, because CGA pointed stuff out to me that I had no idea I had in me. When I did my inventory sheet, man, I had a lot of baggage. And then when I was able to hand that off to someone that I trusted, whether it was an individual or my higher power, man, I felt a relief. I felt like I can breathe again. Does it make sense?
Oh, for sure it does. It does, because that's what this step does. It frees you. So you get the first step. The first step, we talked about this, but it's like a recap. So we want to make sure that you understand. The first step is about identifying the problem. You know what? There's a problem here. I have a problem. The problem is me. And the second step is becoming willing to address that problem, becoming willing to be open to outside suggestions on how to make my life better. The third step, it's about understanding that I need help in making me a better person, whether that be God and CGA, that's a good orderly direction, or whether it be the group, whether it be moms, pops, whatever it is that gives you strength to overcome. It's something to tap into to give me strength to help me become a better person. Step 4 is about me figuring out what's going on inside of me. What is contributing to me self-sabotaging myself over and over and over again. Step 5 is about me putting this stuff on the table and getting rid of it so I can become a new person and start to walk the path to of a happy life.
You know, one thing, and it's funny because I'm going to read it from the book. I was looking at it right now. It says, through this step, right? It says, we are now able to remove the mask of deception that claims that we're in control when we know our lives have long been confusing and frustrating. I love that because this is the stuff that I tell the guys when I'm in prison, right? I tell, hey man, when you walk up in, this is a safe zone. This is somewhere where you could just be you. You could take off that mask, leave it over there at the gate. I says, and when you leave up out of here, if you want to put that mask back on, that's fine. I says, but you don't got to have that mask on in here. Because for me, when I was able to unload this to my higher power, I took that mask off and I went back to being me. I didn't have to portray to be someone else, this gang member, this criminal, this rider, this gunner. I didn't have to do that no more because that was all fake. That was just a show. You know, it's funny that nowadays out here in the community, you notice that there's a lot of television shows or even movies that are involving former gang members.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? We're the best actors. We've been acting our whole life, right? It's like they say action, like when you hear action, it's like when people step out of their cells and they put that mask on and then you start mobbing. It's like action. You're in action now because as soon as you walk back into that cell, you're not that same person. As soon as you walk out to the visiting room and you kiss your mom, you're not that same person. That mask is put away, right? So we're like the best actors. So you give us a role to be a certain way, I'm going to do it. This is my role. I have to be aggressive. I have to be mean. I have to mean mug you. I have to bump you and not say excuse me because that's my role that I have. But when you're able to do this step and take that mask and just be you, now you're like, oh, excuse me. Oh, pardon me. Oh, sorry about that. Hey, God bless you. Right? Now you become this whole the person that you were intended to be. This is why I love this step, bro. This is a very transformative step for anybody that seeks change, man.
And I agree with you, man. It's like it is a transformative step, and you know, I think a lot of times, at least for me, when I was working with this step, you know, I kept, you know, because I had a distrust of people. I kept telling myself, I kept coming up with this story that I would tell myself that, oh man, this person, you know, I don't want to tell them this because they're going to go and tell on me. I'd have been told on before. I don't want to be back in prison. I don't want to be up on new charges. And, you know, it really wasn't about me being afraid to show somebody the person that I was back then because you know, that's what I was showing the world. It was more about me feeling like I was going to get in trouble. But the fact of the matter was that I was already in trouble. I was already doing life. And this step allowed me to be Jacob, right? It allowed me to start going back to my normal self. And I tell this story, I don't know if I told it in the earlier video, I don't think I did, but I always tell the story about how I used to get visits and my mother and my sister, my family used to come see me and we used to take these pictures. And one day my mother came to see me and she was like, you know, we took a picture and she looked at the picture and she said, you know something? Every picture we take, you never smile. You look so unhappy. And I'm like, nah, I ain't unhappy. That's just, you know, that's just, and she was like, no, look at the pictures. You look extremely unhappy. And so I went back, broke out with my old photo album, started looking at the homies, started looking at people I ain't seen in a long time. And then I noticed, like, all my prison pictures, we all looked as serious. We all looked as sad. None of us looked like we were happy. And then I told myself, well, that's because we're in prison. Then I started looking at my visiting pictures. I started looking at my visiting pictures with my moms and my sister and my nieces and nephews. This is while I was in prison. That was the happiest time of my life. When I look at that picture, I see misery. I didn't see no happiness at all. And then I started saying to myself, am I really happy? Am I really happy with what's going on in my life? And then the events start to happen. I caught a shoe program. I went to the shoe. I'm in Corcoran shoe, going out to the little concrete yard, you know, doing what we do out there. And my mother passed away. So now I will never get another visit from her again. And I'm looking at pictures and I'm trying to visualize things. And I told myself, man, I am so unhappy. Something has to change. And that unhappiness, I carried it all the way through until I got to step 5. When I got to step 5 and I started telling people, you know what, this is on my list. This is some of the wrongs I've done. This is some of the good I've done. And my good list had like 4 things on it. It had like 4 things on it. My wrong list like had like 300 things on it, man. And so, but it was okay. That's okay. It's just who I was at the time. So I was able to look at that and realize that I was not living the life that I wanted to live, a life that was in my best interest. So I decided that I was going to be different, and I started changing. I did my step 4. I got all my inventory together. I got to step 5. I found someone that I can trust. For me, that somebody was from another race because we were in prison. So I had to find somebody from another race because I wanted somebody that didn't feel comfortable putting my business out in the street. So I felt like if I talked to somebody of another race, he wouldn't be comfortable putting my business out in the street because he knew it would start a whole bunch of stuff on the yard. So I found him and I unloaded on him, gave him everything. He became my sponsor and he walked me through the steps, the CGA steps. And today I'm a free man because of it. And I'm very, very grateful.
You know, one of the best things that I was reading earlier from this step, Jacob, where it says, this step offers us true freedom in our minds once we come to understand who we are and how we became this way. And to me, what that means is when I embraced CGA and when I was able to do this work, even though I was incarcerated physically, I was free in my mind. I was free to do and be whoever I chose to be. And I was given that from this step right here. I understood that, you know what, even though I'm in incarceration, man, even though I'm in prison, my mind is free. Like I'm free to do, I'm not trapped anymore. My mind and my body is not physically incarcerated. My body is, but not my mind. I'm free to do and be and talk to and do whoever I want to be. One of the things that when I was tested, right, this is one of the tests that I was put through. And you recall this, in 2012, I was transferred over to Old Folsom State Prison, right? And I remember I was on the tier at Soledad still, and one of the guys came up to me that I knew from my wing, and I remember him telling me, he said, hey man, so what are you gonna do when you get over there to Folsom? And I was like, what do you mean? He said, yeah, what are you gonna do, bro, when you get over there? Like it's an active prison, man. You know, they ain't playing around over there. I mean, it's a level 2, but it's a pretty active prison. I was like, what are you talking about? And I felt like he was telling me like, are you going to go back to being who you were, or are you going to stick to your guns? Because if you stick to your guns, it's not going to be good for you. So I started, like, stuff started coming up for me that I snapped at him, you know, and I told, hey man, you don't know me. And I let him have it. So he goes on with his day, and I'm on the tier. Now I'm resentful. I'm frustrated. I'm mad because I felt like this fool was testing me, right? And then here comes my buddy Danny, our mutual friend, Danny Partita, right? And he comes and he's like, what's going on, man? How come you look like that? Nah, it's because this dude came over here, man. And, you know, he started putting his stuff in my head and I ain't no punk and I ain't, right? All this stuff started going. Now I'm going back to who I was. And he goes, man, you should go back and thank this dude, bro, because this dude pulled something, like he pulled something out of you that you were aware of. And I was like, wow. So he goes, so you have to work on that before you get on that bus. So now, I'm trying to figure out, okay, where do those insecurities come from? Why did I feel this way? Right? I started peeling those layers back from that situation.
Onions.
Yeah, there you go. I started peeling those layers back from that situation, and now I'm on the bus. And I'm on the bus having a tug of war, Jacob, having a tug of war because I'm saying, okay, I'm going to this new prison. I don't know anybody here. Am I gonna go back to being who I was, or am I gonna stick to my guns, man? And I'm gonna stay who I am today, which is Caesar. And I literally made that decision getting off the bus. I said, I can't go backwards, man. I have to stay. I have to be who I am today because if I go back to being the person that I was in the past, I'm gonna break my mother's heart. I'm gonna disappoint a lot of my peers, a lot of the people that are depending on me, organizations that I've kept in contact with, right? And I'm gonna lose their trust. I said, so I have too much to lose, Jacob. I can't go back to being who I was. So I have to push forward. And because I have because I developed a spiritual foundation, right? I was shielded because when I got to Folsom, I was honest. I went out there and I told the fellas, this is who I used to be. I'm not this person anymore. This is who I am today. And huh? This is who I am today. This is what I do. I says, I'm just here for my next parole board hearing and I'm out the way. You won't even know I'm here. Right. And because I was able to make that stance in myself, right? I was able to, I'm able to be here today with you because I made that choice to sit there and say, okay, I'm sticking to my guns. For once in my life, I'm going to make the right choice and stick to my guns and being Caesar, right? Because I definitely, if I would have went back to who I was before, I wouldn't be standing in front of you right now, bro, making this video. I promise you that, right?
Thank you for that, C's. Step 5 is a good one, but unfortunately, we're getting short on time. So let's go over these step 5 questions and answers real quick, and so we can wrap this up and move on to step 6. So the first one is, why is it important to be as honest and thorough as you can in this step? For me, honesty is paramount. Is one of the characteristics that make me into the person that I am. And the more honest I am, the more crap that I can pull out of my past and put it on the table and get rid of it so I can move on to be a better person. So I want to be honest and thorough. I don't want to leave anything behind. It's like having roaches in your house. You don't want to clean up all the roaches, but leave 3 or 4 there because they're gonna continue to grow and become more and more. So I want to make sure I get all my bull crap out and not leave some to fester and grow and take over. Number 2 is, why is it important to find time to be alone while asking for forgiveness?
For me, it's important because if you're surrounded, or if you have your TV on, your radio, this is a time when you should find time to meditate, right? There are certain times of the day in prison where you can find that peace, right? It could be during count, it could be late at night, right before you go to sleep, right? You can have some alone time with your higher power, right? And ask for forgiveness. This is why it's important to find the right time to do this, with no interruptions, with no, nothing coming between you and your thoughts, right? And I believe that's why it's important to find that time, because forgiveness is huge, and it starts with yourself.
Number 3, when going over your inventory, understand you lack the strength and control over the cycle of addiction. Because you destroy relationships, were irresponsible, and lack spiritual principles or spiritual values. How can we regain control and restore relationships in our moral compass? There's nothing more important than your relationships with other people. That's why we're here on this earth. We're social beings. That being said, I've destroyed a lot of relationships because of my behavior and some of my thought patterns, the way I was or the way I chose to show up in life. And to regain control or to restore relationships, for me, that comes about being authentic. being my genuine self, because as my genuine self, I have all the spiritual qualities or values that maintain a healthy relationship. I'm compassionate, I'm understanding, I'm honest, I listen, I'm very considerate of other people's. So these are the things that help me build and restore relationships. This is the things that I use to restore relationships with a lot of my family members, such as my sister. It's also allowed me to get my moral compass back. So now in a relationship, no matter what the relationship be, whether it be male or female, whether it be me and one of my male friends, or whether it's parents or whoever it is, these relationships are being controlled on my end by my moral compass and the positive things that I bring into the relationship. And it's not about me. So I'll leave it at that and move over to the next one, because I know we're short on time. Number 4, what are some of the qualities you will look for in a sponsor? Now, that's big.
Yeah, that's huge right there, because you have to, first and foremost, you have to find, one of the qualities is being trustworthy, right? Someone that's trustworthy, somebody that's compassionate, somebody that's loving, somebody that's accepting, someone that's not judgmental, right? And in the world that we live in, it's pretty difficult to find people like that. So when you do, man, you reach out to them and you let them know that this is what you need. You need someone, some of that guy. You need some of those qualities for yourself, and because you see them in other people, right? Or you see them in certain individuals, you're able to ask them to be your sponsor, right? I've always believed that in prison there's always people like that, and you don't even have to ask them. You could just see by their character how they carry themselves, right? How it's not all about them. It's about who they can help, how they can help, and and they're being open and transparent about who they really, really are. So those are some great qualities right there for if someone that's looking for a sponsor, that's what they should look for right there. Someone that's open, transparent, and honest.
Good tips. That's some good encouragement, Caesar. Number 5, what is the biggest challenge you will have in trusting someone? Wow. For me, the biggest challenge is my judgmental nature. I look at people and I make judgments that are not true. I tell myself, I make up stuff about people all the time, and I use that. I make up stuff because that's really what I do. I look at somebody and be like, oh man, he's this or he's that, or I need to watch him, or this dude here is the dude that I need to get because he gonna be the one that's out here putting in work, or these are stories I tell myself. And so that's my biggest challenge, to trusting other people. And just this caveat before I pass on to the next question is, it was hard for me to trust everyone else because I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust myself to do the right thing. They'd tell me, look, we want you to do this and do that. And I'd be like, oh, no, because if I go over there and all that money sitting out there, I don't know if I won't be able to take it. I'll probably take something. I couldn't even trust myself. So, and so that made it harder for me to judge other people. I mean, for me to trust other people. So with that, we'll move on to number 6, is what does forgiveness mean to you, Caesar?
Man, to me, that's a great question. It's just moving on, being able to move on in life as the person that you were intended to be, right? Forgiveness is saying, okay, I'm able to see the type of person that I was, and I've addressed it. I've come clean. I'm being honest. I no longer want to lie or be deceitful or wear a mask or portray someone that I'm not, right? And because I'm no longer that person and I'm able to go back to being me, I'm able to forgive myself. So forgiveness for me is just moving forward, man. Moving forward with a clean slate, with no hangups. And if stuff, occasionally stuff is going to show up for you, but continue to address it. And this is why CGA is important, man, because this is a lifelong process. This is something that we're going to have, like for me, I'm going to have to be CGA to the day I die, because, I don't want none of those old bad behaviors to show up for me. And they could easily show up for me too, right? Because I was in this lifestyle for decades. My head was twisted up, man. So sometimes the wires could come undone for me, and I have to I have to address them, through CGA.
Yeah, CGA is also helping me stay out of prison. Without CGA, I don't know where I'd be. Number 7, what are some of the spiritual principles you will apply in the healing process? Ooh, spiritual principles. You know, those are good. I love them. And I talked about some of the spiritual principles that I have or that I'm striving to exhibit. One of them is honesty. Another one is courage and integrity, willingness to change, being humble, being having hope for the future. These are some of the spiritual principles that that guide my life and make my life a better fit for me. It works for me because it brings quality to my life. So those are some of the spiritual principles that I will employ to apply in my healing process, where I have employed and applied to my healing process, and helping me grow into the person I am today, and helping me continually grow into a better person. Number 8, do you feel you deserve to be forgiven? Why or why not? Woo, I'm glad I didn't get that one.
Well, in the beginning, Jacob, in the beginning, when the work first began with me and seeing the type of person that I was, man, I feel like I didn't deserve to be forgiven. I felt I deserved what I had coming, right? I deserved to be in prison. I deserved to be going through what I was going through at the time. But understanding that I can't change the past and I can only work on my future, then I'm able to forgive myself now. Now it says, okay, I'm not that individual no more. I'm not promoting violence. I'm not promoting any gang. I'm not promoting anything, any kind of negativity, anything. Right? If anything, I'm trying to help other people. I'm trying to be of service. I'm trying to be loving and accepting, and try as much as sometimes it's difficult to be less judgmental. Right? I try to be the best version of myself that I can be, and for that simple reason, I know that I deserve to be forgiven, and I've asked for forgiveness, and I've gotten it. And sometimes, especially in this. In this the audience that we're seeking today, I want everybody to understand something about forgiveness. When it comes to your victims, we cannot ask for forgiveness, right? All we can ask is, all you can do is say you're sorry, apologize for your actions, because asking for forgiveness is you're asking for something from your victims, and we don't have that right. We really don't, right? We really don't. So I just want to clarify that. So when you men have a chance to write your remorse letters to your victim's family or your loved ones.
Wait, Caesar, we're getting ahead of ourselves, bro. You got to come down a couple of steps. You're moving too fast.
I'm just. This is for board purposes. I don't want anybody to get the misconception, because I don't want everybody to get confused with these questions, right? Because if they happen to hear them and they'll say, "Oh, well, you deserve to be forgotten." So we could ask for forgiveness. No, just apologize. You could just say, I'm sorry is a little word, but it carries great weight.
And also, I think part of making amends or being apologetic is changing the behavior, changing who you are. That's where the forgiveness comes from. It doesn't come from you asking for it. It comes from you showing up as a different person, and a person saying, "Man, I'm glad this person changed. It's not going to hurt anyone else, and I can forgive him and move on, because I know he's not going to do it again." So that's part of the process, and that's what we're speaking on now, is becoming new people, being able to come out here and enjoy life. I don't know if any of you guys noticed this, but they letting people go. You know what I'm saying? I looked up here and I seen half of my tier at a PAC meeting one time. I went to the parole office for a PAC meeting, and man, half the tier was there. It was like, man, they're letting people go, and here's an opportunity to get yourself right so you can be a contributing member to society and come out here and take your place as a leader of your family and stop your children from falling into the cycle of mass incarceration. So with that, we're going to call it a day. It's been a long day, and I enjoy being with you guys, but I only enjoy being where you at, so I got to go.
We got to go.
You got any last words for the fellas, big fella?
Nothing, man. We'll see you guys on step 6.
peace, love, and happiness. Hey, be safe, man. Take this COVID-19 stuff seriously because it is serious. People are dying. Practice social distancing and cover up your mouth and your nose when it's applicable.
Wash your hands.
Yes, and wash your hands. With that, peace, love, and happiness.